Where's my theme music? That's right. Orange and Blue today, live in Mobile, Alabama. Day 2. Always an important day, Mace, because day 1, guys get on the radar. Day 2, guys may fall off the radar, or they may cement themselves even further in our handy notebooks.
Yes. And there was a little bit of both today. And then also, it's a key day in terms of information gathering because this is it's the media day. Now, we grab guys coming off the field after practice, but it's a little bit of catch as catch can. The best way to do it is to chat with these guys at the media night. And we worked our way around and found out just some of the guys to whom the Broncos have been speaking here in Mobile at the Senior Bowl.
Yes, including our cover athlete for today's show,
Let's
Devin
put him
Neal.
back up there again.
I know, look at that. Look at that. Can you imagine that in a Broncos uniform?
Look at those eyes.
Yes.
If you look close, if you zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the eyes have it. And Devin Neal, a running back we've talked quite a bit about in the last few weeks, has confirmed that he did meet with the Broncos here at the Senior Bowl. Now, the Broncos are going to meet with a lot of players at the Senior Bowl. So
yes.
Don't get me wrong there. But you chatted with him. You made the Alvin Kamara comp to him. And certainly skill set wise, he'd be a very good fit.
Yes.
For the Broncos, who clearly have a need at running back.
And with that great size and quickness, 215, 220 pounds is where he's listed at. We talked about Clinton Portis. I know people have grabbed a hold of that. I've been asked questions about that. Like, hey, you and Mace saw some Clinton Portis. Like, yeah, this guy's got it. And he's got that natural talent, showcasing his receiving ability as well. I would say where Smith was the better back on Tuesday.
Rashard Smith, SMU.
Yes, SMU. Devin Neal, the better back today. And yesterday wasn't bad. It's just today he continued to take strides forward while Smith's game kind of leveled off. Did
well all around as well because this was a day where the running backs were asked to work in pass protection drills as well and add that to their resume, how they handle things as blocker. And Devin Neal certainly held his own. That's the sort of thing that's going to show up well. And he's the size and build to where he ought to be able to handle that aspect pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, and I actually got the final question, last question with Devin Neal, because I talked to him for quite a while at media night here in Mobile. Actually did not bring up pass pro, but we saw it on film today, Mace, and backs on backers, one of those drills. And again, just drills, just practice. We know we've been doing this a long time, but it's very important to show scouts like, hey, you may have thought this about me, but I'm going to show you that I've either improved on that or it's something that I'm, very willing to improve on. And pass protection is a lot of want to in addition to technique.
One thing also that you hear from running backs and tight ends is if you ask them about areas in which they want to impress and improve, most are going to say some blocking aspects. Tight ends, you hear that a lot as well. But from the guys I talked to today, part of it is they know it's how they get on the field. Mason Taylor of LSU, I asked him about this, and he talked about how a tight end he admires is George Kittle, and one of the things he really admires about George Kittle is the blocking ability. It's interesting. Sometimes it's like when they're talking to us in the media, you can almost get a sense that they know they're talking to the NFL teams as well. And when you hear them talk about blocking, it's like they're saying, hey, I understand what it takes to get on the field at this league. Yeah, I know that I've got to do the dirty work here. That it's not just about catching passes. It's not just about, bursting off tackle, getting explosive run. It's about getting in there and helping my teammates and blocking. And it's almost like all these guys are drilled to know, like, okay, I'm always trying to make an impression, no matter who I'm talking to, a positive impression on the next level to maximize my chances of getting playing time.
Right. And when we talked to Harold Fannin, I actually did ask him about, who asked you to play fullback? maybe thinking it was a team request. He said, he kind of chuckled. He's like, man, I don't know. Coach said, we're running this play. You need to get in there. So it kind of happens that way, right?
Do your job, right?
Yes.
And A, do your job. B, the more you can do, the more opportunities you're going to get. That's the thing. If we talk about being a tell. You use the phrase declaration of influence. And if you're a tight end or a running back, the more you can do, the more packages you can be in, the more a team's intent is going to be masked when you're in there. Like we talked, with the Broncos running backs this season. Javonte Williams is out there. It became a tell. Okay, this is pass. Because either it's pass pro or he's going out for a route. Jaleel McLaughlin, not so much this past year, but certainly as a rookie, it's a 70% chance he's getting the ball here. He's either being targeted in the pass game or they're going to hand it to him. So you have to be able to have a multidimensional skill set to where you're not that tell being out there. So it's going to get you on the field more. And it's also going to expand the repertoire for what a play caller can have. And if you're an offensive play caller, you want those guys who aren't tells, who are versatile, who can be moved around, who can handle blocking, as well as have ball skills. Those players are invaluable to a coordinator trying to put together their game plan.
Yeah, and it just gives you another chess piece to use, whether that's Devin Neal or Harold Fannin. Like, we've got quite the assembly of talent down here. Let's say we play a clip from Devin Neal, man. This is pretty cool to see this young man light up with his opportunity to get in front of the media, because he's a player that is very confident, very sure in what he says and how he behaves. And, well, it was a joy to catch up with him.
Well, you chatted with him. Which one do you want to play first? Do you want to play him kind of selling himself and his traits, his versatility?
Yeah, that's I got that. Still some questions from Mace once in a while on that versatility here for Devin Neal.
Okay.
Definitely my versatility, just being able to do everything in the game. And I think it's really important for me because I think you can see it on tape how versatile I am. And, there are some question marks around how good of a pass blocker he is. And, I think today I kind of silenced that doubt a little bit, just showing that I can do it and I'm willing to do it. And it's a vital aspect to being a running back. And I just want to show that I can do that.
You asked him the question in the third person there.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Take us through it, man.
Yeah.
And he's got the versatility to get it done at the pro level as a runner and as a receiver out of the backfield. And these guys know they want to get on the field as much as possible. He talked about his game against Colorado. Sorry, Buffs fans, where he had 37 carries. He wants to prove he can be that kind of workhorse in the NFL. And my God, does that shot look clean. That's
the video?
The Osmo that you have.
Yeah.
Takes incredible video.
You're welcome.
You're welcome out there. But, putting in the work, and Devin Neal's putting in the work on the practice field there as well.
He is, and he's growing from day to day. And that was something that a couple of guys with whom I spoke. We're focusing on Devin Neal today, but talked with a couple of the tight ends as I made my rounds. Jacob Brenningstool out of Clemson, Jackson
Really
Hawes
good
out
week.
of Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Jackson Hawes, a really good day. One-handed catch today. And for somebody who probably has distinguished himself more as a blocker to this point, nice moment for him that caught some eyes. I mean, you thought he was somebody else.
Exactly, because you don't see those type of plays from him on film.
Yes. So that I thought that was interesting to hear as well. Both Brenningstool and Hawes, by the way, said they have talked with the Broncos at Senior Bowl. Again, we're talking to a lot of people, but no surprise that they're looking heavily at the running backs. They're looking heavily at the tight ends here. And certainly, if they double up, Hawes is the kind of guy who might be sneaky good value there, round 4, round 5, if he has more days like this. But all of them talked about blocking. It's the common theme here. Every guy just understands what you got to do.
Yeah.
And all of them said they had to get better at it as well. Even Hawes, for whom like that's a strength.
That's his hallmark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's college games a little bit different than the pro game, and with the tight ends, with Hawes specifically, like there's some Nate Atkins traits to him. You know, and you're not going to pay everybody all the time, right? You have to be ready for the next man up.
Why are they looking at these guys at fullback? Like you're giving Harold Fenton fullback reps. Well, I mean, one of the reasons why Nate Atkins has hung around for 2 years as an undrafted addition for the Broncos is because you can line up H-back, fullback, tight end, in line, in space, and heck, he's got just enough ball skills to be able to make plays on the ball. That's the thing. Like we see, like the Jackson Hawes catch today. I mean, that's shades of Adam Troutman. That one-handed catch he has. The tight ends, unless you are elite level talent, the tight ends that survive in the NFL are the ones who have that versatility to them. They do have as a tool on their belt the ability to occasionally make a spectacular catch, but then go out there on the next snap and take on an edge. The thing with Jackson Hawes, I asked him about, and we'll probably get into this on a future show. Talk to him about how do you counter speed? Like, and he said one thing that he wanted to work that get your hands placed right. He said one thing though is you've got he knew he's like I've got to get better at my hand placement. Like that's if I'm going to go to the next level as a blocker, that's what I've got to do.
Yep, make it happen. We talked to Terrence Ferguson as well. Did not ask him if he had talked to the Broncos, although I'm sure he has. Littleton, Colorado to Oregon.
Did.
You did?
I stuck it in there.
You did sneak it in? And he did say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you did at the end. That's right. We talked to a lot of people today. So
talked to him about Bo Nix as well.
Yeah, a lot of Bo Nix, but he loves
talked to Tez Johnson about Bo Nix as well to get away from tight ends and running backs.
Well, let's finish up Ferguson before we get to the Tez talk because you were there talking to Tez. I was talking to an inside linebacker, yes, that the Broncos have talked to. But let's wrap up Terrence Ferguson here before we get to Tez talk.
Just a nice all-around tight end. That's the thing that kind of jumps out to me is good route runner, good at finding gaps in coverage as well, and had one particularly notable one-on-one rep today. That was very impressive. Another guy who can make that one-handed grab as well.
So much so I didn't think he caught it.
Yeah.
My head's down. I'm writing on my notebook about nice play on the ball. I believe it was a Navy player because somebody behind us like, there we go, Navy. There we go, Navy. And then all of a sudden you go almost in a Terrell Owens type of way. He caught it.
Yeah.
He caught it. Yeah. So Ferguson out there making some nice plays.
Good day for him.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to talk to him about the Broncos as well because like he said he followed the team when he was a kid. Said he liked Julius Thomas.
Yeah.
But I was joking on our group text. Maybe not the guy you want for Trivia Tuesday because he couldn't recall the nickname of the secondary that in Super Bowl 50, the no-fly zone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he's a kid back then. That's what I took away. Yeah. Mace is like, my God, we're old. You're like, who'd you grow up watching that was your favorite
Von Miller.
Von Miller. I'm like, oh.
Well, you forget, I mean.
Remember when he was drafted? Watching.
He would have been, what? Ferguson would have been about 13 years old, I guess.
Something like that, yeah.
For Super Bowl 50.
And when Von Miller was drafted, he would have been even younger.
12 for that season. 12 for that season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing there. The salad days of the no-fly zone, Terrence Ferguson would have been 12, 13 years old. So I guess I would have remembered that though. But I'm crazy.
Yeah.
No, but a good guy to talk to. Still very close with Bo Nix. They text often. That's another thing. Both Terrence Ferguson, Tez Johnson, obviously brother of Bo Nix, like they're tight. Tez is also tight with Troy Franklin. He even said that Troy introduced Tez to his girlfriend at Oregon. So that's pretty cool. But Terrence and Bo texting quite often. I mean, I like the idea of Terrence Ferguson because one thing, and I asked him about this. He talked. I asked him. Okay, I asked him about tight ends he models his game after, and he said Travis Kelce and George Kittle. Now, the interesting thing, I've heard a few guys over the years tell me Kelce's game, you can't really replicate it. He's kind of a freak of nature almost. So I asked Terrence kind of what about Kelce is actually replicable for another.
You asked if it was replicable.
Yes. And he talked basically kind of about how he kind of sees things in coverage. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is like, I mean, when he just does that little 3-yard curl sort of thing, and Patrick Mahomes just gets the ball out in perfect timing. And so
it's the mind meld.
Yes. So the thing with Ferguson is...
Who's he got a mind meld with?
Bo Nix. If you added Ferguson, I think a little more so than with Troy Franklin. I think you were kind of hoping for it with Troy Franklin. I think it's actually more there with Ferguson at this point. Also, tight end, outside receiver. I think you're talking about different kind of skill sets and roles and things that are required. So it's something to think about. It also notable on Ferguson that first team all conference with Bo Nix, third team all conference without him. Of course, they changed conferences from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, but I think he's got that cohesion,
yes,
connection.
You asked him
the
specifically.
Shared moments.
You asked him specifically about starting not from zero.
Yes, yeah.
If the Broncos draft him, and that can be a benefit for a young man who's going to have that instant connection and chemistry, perhaps even more than in a way with the wide receiver, because tight ends are usually security blankets for quarterbacks. So interesting to note with Terrence Ferguson. Also interesting to note, little behind-the-scenes talk. I didn't wager with you because we're not that type of guys, but when you said Tez Johnson's going to get a table, because they had players, they had 5 tables, whatever the number. They have like podium/tables for certain players, and then everybody else is just kind of catch as catch can. They're just kind of walking around this big room, conference room. And you said, I think Tez is going to get a table. And I thought, okay, I don't think so.
You didn't agree.
But then you said the story. So you were there. I was talking to the Minnesota linebacker, Lindenberg, Cody. You were there at Tez. How was the energy, the story, and the fact that he did have quite a lot of people around him?
Well, the story matters. It got a lot of attention from ESPN a few weeks ago, of course. The fact that he's from Alabama matters. Like, he grew up in the state of Alabama. He went to Troy before he transferred to Oregon as well. So that's why I thought the state of Alabama connections for Tez Johnson and the story of how he came to be adopted by the Nix family. I thought that's why he would get attention. There was certainly a pretty good crowd around him. By the way, people are saying our video is blurry, which is interesting. It's clear on this here.
Yeah.
It's clear on your computer. It's blurry on mine. I mean, I can't.
We're on hotel Wi-Fi, so we apologize. So we're doing our best, and hopefully getting out to the people and all that. So
Mike Naylor says he'd sign a free agent tight end as well. Conklin, Juwan Johnson, or Mike Gesicki.
Okay. Juwan Johnson is a name that I've heard.
Yeah. I've always liked Gesicki. I just don't think he fits the Broncos.
No, I like Juwan Johnson better. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll keep monitoring that situation. But you're adding 2. You're adding 2 of something along the way. I wouldn't mind 2 draft picks, though.
It's the class to do it. Like the thing that has crystallized for me watching Hawes, watching Mason Taylor, watching Terrence Ferguson. This is a deeper tight end class than I think even I thought it was going to be. And that actually laying eyes on these guys all the way down to, Rivaldo Fairweather and Luke Lachey at the Shrine game as well. This has so much talent. This is why I think it's the year you double up at tight end and you go one in the first 2 days in the draft. I think you go for one in the third day of the draft, and then let them battle it out. See who's ready. I mean, I think certainly puts Lucas Kroll, on the hot seat, very much on the bubble.
Yeah. See ya. If you don't get it done, you've had plenty of opportunity. This isn't the wait around game.
This is the NFL, which stands for not for long. If you can't, as Jerry Lanville said, if you can't get it done, and Kroll had some chances. I've got a feeling that you're not going to be saying that Lucas Kroll had the best offseason of anyone on the team.
Right. Notwithstanding Quinn Miners and Pat Surtain.
Great moments at Broncos press conferences.
Sean was not in a good mood that day. I poked the bear. Sometimes the bear pokes back.
He gave you a chance to get out of it.
I know.
That was the thing. And you doubled down. And in my mind, if I could have just done this, I would.
Oh, yes. You were very upset with me after that.
It just, oh, man, he just gave you the out and you didn't take it. You doubled down.
Yeah.
That's.
I like pushing the envelope.
Yeah, you do.
What can I say?
That's you.
Yeah, that's me. That's just my way, right? Just the way of the Broncos to find tight end help here, to find running back help here, and maybe some linebacker help as well. Going to make my practice report, denversports.com. I just started on it.
That's what we got. We got some stuff coming up
got
later
some
tonight.
stuff to do, so I wanted to make sure I get it spelled. Lindenberg. I think I called him Lindbergh earlier. Lumberg. Lindenberg. Lumberg.
Yeah.
Oh, there's his brother.
Yeah. Ron Lumberg. Bill? Their kids would have hooves.
Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. Really good to talk to. Yes, the Broncos have talked to him. Number 45 on the field, number 1 on your hearts. And he was filling the hole against the run. He had a pick 6 today. We talked about that in one of our post-practice videos that you can check out on our social networking. So Lindenberg, a player that, inside linebacker, sure. Even if they get Nick Bolton or Willie Gay in free agency, I'm still drafting a guy, day 3 pick, make it happen.
And then the pressure goes on guys like Lavelle Bailey, guys like, we have expiring contracts there. I mean, I think really do we even know for certain Alex Singleton is back?
No, because of the cap saving.
Yeah, I think Alex Singleton's probably restructured waiting to happen because they can generate some space there.
Yeah. You need to address that position. The Broncos are certainly looking at that. And as you reiterated, they talk to a lot of people. But it is important for us, boots on the ground, to get confirmation that these conversations are happening. So instead of thinking, man, I wish they would be considering a Harold Fannin. We know they are. 1,000%. Devin Neal. I wish they would take Devin Neal. Doesn't mean they're going to take him, but they are talking to him.
Yeah. And as Canelo asked, you get Fannin in the second and Neal in the third. Who do you take in the first?
Okay, so if that's the case, I've seen some mocks with safeties. Daniel Jeremiah's latest had them taking a safety. For me, safety's further down the list. We've talked about it. Safety's 5th for me on the list. Some might say a defensive tackle that early, if you can get a penetrator, someone that can help you stuff the run there as well. So there are other options. And Neal in the third, I've floated that out to some NFL type people, and they've kind of poo-pooed the third. They think you can get him in the 5th. So we'll see. Yeah.
I plead the 5th. I don't think he's falling that far.
Right. We'll see, man. The opinions change. Everything is in motion. It's the future, right? It's always in motion.
Yeah. Jesus says, I think Bach is replaceable. I get that. And there's a space that you could also create some cap space with his contract as well. I simply don't think he was at fault to the degree that some others do for some of the breakdowns, particularly against Buffalo earlier this month. So
yeah.
Let's get writing. We have a lot to do.
Yes.
We have a lot to do now.
And we have dinner in 2 hours?
Yeah.
Roughly 2 hours?
If we get done with the stuff, because we've got an afternoon field report that it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube. I got to put it on Facebook. We've got I've got a piece to write about Devin Neal. I've got
Coaching piece.
yeah,
right?
looks
We gotta
like
talk about that.
first to report this. Mike Kliss looks like Chris Banjo will be moving on from the Broncos staff, taking the special teams coordinator role with the New York Jets. So the Broncos still kind of in flux there. I think right now, when it comes to special teams coordinator, it's sort of waiting out what happens with the Saints. I don't think they're going to hire Darren Rizzi, but as long as the Saints thing is still open, there's some reports connecting them to Kellen Moore. I would say if you're Kellen Moore, why would you take that job? The Saints have a problem, and it's that every coach knows just how grim the situation is there cap-wise.
It's dire.
It's dire, and they aren't in position to get a quarterback this year. They maybe don't want a quarterback this year anyway, based on what's there. The Saints are looking like a 2 to 3 year rebuild right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they just fired a coach midway into his third season. It's a mess, and that's why, Mike McCarthy, perhaps he wasn't going to get the job. Perhaps he didn't want to sign on for that situation. But you've had Cliff Kingsbury pull out. You've had, Joe Brady pull out. Joe Brady having deep Louisiana ties. Man, is any team in a worse situation than the Saints?
No, not at all. Super quick, what's it mean for Jim Leonard?
I don't think anything's going to change there. I think Jim's going to come back.
Would they give him any sort of new title or new responsibilities?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's a new title that's possible because
What his titles now are?
Pass game coordinator on the defensive side. I don't know if he can. He's not a defensive coordinator, but they already kind of gave him a coordinator
title.
I don't think there's much they can do with him title-wise. The title change that I could see coming is for Davis Webb, if there's something like pass game coordinator added to his QB coach status, as he looks like he's sticking around. Maybe he takes over Johnny Moe's vacated title with Morton, of course, going to the Detroit Lions as OC.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll continue to monitor the situation here for Mobile, Alabama. Got lots of work to do, so we certainly appreciate everyone out there. And these flashing lights, we're not in a rave. We're just got some flashing lights behind us.
Yeah.
Could get some glow sticks, right? Right? And we're all about the work. We've had some party invites. We have yet to accept those, Mace.
Saints fan, LOL.
Yeah.
Are they laughing at us, or are they laughing about the grim nature of their situation relative to the salary cap?
I hope it's both. Anyway, so let's get some more work done. Let's get some dinner. Turn down the party invites because we got a bunch of video stuff to go through. And then tomorrow you will be at practice. I will be on the air back in Denver, even though I'm going to be in Pensacola. And then we'll do a show sometime tomorrow with some more practice observations.
Yeah. After you do your show, before you get on your plane, before I go to New Orleans, and then we'll probably have more to talk about on Friday as well.
Yeah, so I'll either be at the airport, I'll be in some ESPN Pensacola. Is there such a thing? ESPN Pensacola. I believe I'm at an ESPN affiliate. You play nice with your sister stations.
ESPN Pensacola, WEBY.
WEBY, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Yep.
Okay.
There you
ESPN Pensacola.
There it is.
It's good to have friends in Pensacola. Are they talking War Eagle podcast?
Yeah, Auburn.
Okay. There you go.
Good times.
All right.
Enjoy being in the studio at ESPN Pensacola.
Right on.
Or as I think they called it the Family Circus. One of the kids in the Family Circus comic strip a long time ago called it Pepsi Cola, Florida.
Now that you've mentioned Family Circus, I have to quote the movie Go, which if you haven't seen, you need to see it. There it is in the corner of the paper. Family Circus just waiting to suck.
You could say that about a lot of comic strips. I mean,
does anyone read the comic strips anymore?
What is the reason to be of High and Lois?
The world may never know.
Hagar the Horrible.
Although I was a Far Side guy.
Is Gasoline Alley still around? I mean, there are these mediocre to terrible comic strips that just endure for decades. Like, it's inexplicable. But the thing is, if you have worked in newspapers, you know, if they change the comic page, people flip out about that the way they flip out about nothing else in the newspaper.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you took away Dennis the Menace. What are you doing? I was a Calvin and Hobbes guy back in the day.
Calvin and Hobbes is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Far Side was awesome.
Yes.
Right.
And both of them knew when to stop, when to quit, when to walk away. Instead of just continuing to go for decades and decades and decades past their sell-by date, past their relevancy date. Yeah.
Well, we'll be there for you.
Peanuts. Peanuts at its peak was terrific.
Yes.
But that was one that probably did hold on about, probably held on about 10, 12 years too long.
I watched a mini
opinion.
documentary on YouTube about how Peanuts was really just working Charlie Brown through his depression. It was pretty dark, honestly.
Actually, that's the
I'll send
thing.
it
Like,
to
the
you.
Peanuts universe is pretty dark. Yeah. If you
Dog
really,
was
if
a World War II
you really
pilot.
think about it. Charles Schultz had a very interesting life as well. Like,
Yes, he did.
Basically, a lot of Peanuts at its peak was Schultz working out his issues and insecurities in life in the comic strip. And there's a book, there's a biography about it, and it shows how the strips would parallel the personal tumult in his life. Like when his first marriage was failing, Lucy is at her meanest. Lucy was an avatar for Charles Schultz's first wife.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. We could go down a lot of
Fraggle Rock,
wormholes.
not a comic strip, but I remember watching that when I was a kid in the 80s.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Down in Fraggle Rock. Down in Fraggle Rock.
Remember berries. Right. We got them all. Lots of stuff to do in Mobile. So before we're out of here, mates, how can folks help us out on YouTube?
Like,
Comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell.
so that you never miss a vid.
This is our last show in the same spot for a minute.
Yeah, you just made me sad. You're not supposed to do that at the end of the show.
Sorry. I get existential.
Yeah, it's been that kind of trip, hasn't it? What a long, strange trip it's been.
Yes.
He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.